So everyone, welcome back. Jason and I are talking this morning, and this is all just going into Jason's playlist. And what we're going to be talking about now, the Colin Blumson coat of arms of Brisbane City. So Jason, the story behind this is that James MacCormick, one of the principal protagonists of Queensland getting an expo. In fact, he was he really started the ball rolling. And he had located from Canberra, where he was an architect, where he worked on World Expo buildings, Montreal and in Japan, and which obviously was really exciting for him. But his other work in Canberra was as an architect for school buildings. And he got a job up here at St. Lucia campus, and I think he still hankered for the limelight of big events, of World Expos that he'd been sort of co-opted into during his more, as I think you'd call it, mundane day-to-day work. And so he came up here, he threw himself into the social world, and he secured the brief to design the Welcome to City statement for Rotary, and that was the Rotary Fountain, which the coat of arms behind it formed the centrepiece of. And he, at the same time, was, thinking that one way of getting world events to Brisbane was to take advantage of the Commonwealth Games. And that's the reason why he put his hand up and won the commission to design that entry to city statement. Because Rotary held all through the 70s and 80s, and even today probably, the largest volunteer conference that goes on in the world. So they've got 3,000 or 4,000 people attending, and Brisbane actually did get one. And the tribute to that is actually sitting in the Roma Street Parklands that Laurie Smith helped to develop, and that's the Brisbane seat, and that was designed and made by Real Hinwood, quite a famous sculptor. Now, James participated in that. This coat of arms was incorporated into the fountain, and James had high expectation that the fountain would work as a major statement, but unfortunately the winds defeated it. So, your car got washed if the wind was blowing out to sea, if you're driving into the city, and if you're driving home in the afternoon and the prevailing winds were blowing from the sea, your car got washed again. So if you were really lucky, you could get your car washed twice in one day.
So where exactly is this fountain you're talking about? What's the location?
It was, where the Emporium is now?
Yes.
Yep. So the Emporium used to be what was called the Light Street Bus Depot, and before it was the Light Street Bus Depot, it used to be a terminus for and storage facility for trams, and it was quite a large site, an ideally placed site to store trams at night time, and it sort of outgrew its usefulness when the council trans to buses. Having all the buses in the centre of the city wasn't the smartest thing to do, and so over time the facility became redundant, and they moved the buses from there and they put them on the perimeter, because obviously in the morning you want your buses to start on the outer circle and drive in. You don't actually want them in the inner part of Brisbane then driving out to then drive back in, because the demand of buses is such that they need to go from the outer of Brisbane in the morning, and in the afternoon you want them to go out from the centre of the city out, and so it's just logical that the buses be stored outside. So that's where it was, in that location, and it was just a magical bit of sculpture. But the interesting thing is that Colin Blumson, who sculpted this particular artwork in fiberglass originally, and it's now in beautiful bronze, so it will last forever. He also did the very original Queensland coat of arms after 1977.
No doubt you'll superimpose a picture over this video of that.
I'll put it at the bottom of that as it sits in the Kingaroy Museum, and that is another great little tourist attraction that Kingaroy has, which again, as our previous discussion indicated, hopefully the sculptor and the clown bending over backwards all helps build a tourist narrative up in Kingaroy. But behind you is a beautiful collection of Expo 88 memorabilia. What are your thoughts about the long-term disposition of your wonderful collection?
I haven't really made any particular decision there, but I certainly don't believe I can hold on to all this stuff forever, because there's only, storage in my house is at a premium already. And I would suggest that one day it will find its way to a permanent exhibition somewhere, possibly.
Let's hope.
But I'd certainly...
Let's hope that the South Burnett realise and come to the party in facilitating its display up there.
Yeah, and it will need to be in a place where it's there's no moisture and no sunlight, and sort of the correct museum-like environment for it to be preserved, of course.
Yeah, and there are expenses involved in that. There is no doubt about it. So, Jason, thanks so much for that part of the YouTube. And in the next little bit, we're going to be talking about Sir Joby Alke-Petersen as a way of concluding this 3-part series. So stay tuned and come back.